chewing on this bitter pill for so long, but it's a jawbreaker. All that I did wrong was let myself get strung along. It's too easy to make excuses for a faker, but I do you the favor. Forget your bad behavior. We'll just chalk it up to my failure to see you were a crazy maker, a bomb about to crater. I was looking for a savior. Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame on me. Shame on me. And I'm the easy thing you reach for when you need something to hold. Yes, I know what's good for me, but I just pay no mind. And time again, it gets so old. But I just do you the favor. Forget your
Vanessa Peters.
Hi, how are you?
Look at you.
It's still me. I'm still here.
Let me just like take a minute and look at you and look at your compound because I am so excited for this moment.
Yeah,
You look great, Vanessa. Wow, look at that.
thanks. I
Yeah,
think it's probably just Zoom's fancy filters and stuff, but
right?
thank you.
Like the cat lawyer filter.
I should have put that on there. I did think about it actually. Big sunglasses or something.
Oh my God, Vanessa. Yeah, I was so excited to be talking to you again. I mean, for so many
Good to see
reasons,
you.
right? Not least of
Yeah.
all, your new album out on Modern Age, April 23rd, 2021, Vanessa. And Vanessa, what an album, first of all. We'll get to it in detail in a minute, but, your songwriting, I think it's like at a high point right now. It is amazing, your songwriting, where it's at. Like, amazing level where you're at, and now and a wonderful rock and roll production. It's a great album.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're really excited about it. It turned out well. We're proud of it. So
Absolutely. And Crazymaker is out and it's giving it's in rotation in Spain now and people are catching
yeah.
on. So really cool stuff, Vanessa. Vanessa, but like first of all, can you believe, I mean, since we last spoke almost like a year ago, Vanessa, it feels like
Yeah.
mixtape covers was being released. And in some ways it feels like yesterday, but in some other ways it feels like a million years, right?
It feels like forever ago. I was just thinking about that because I just started today packing up some of the CDs for our Kickstarters and stuff, like preparing all the packages, which is what I was doing almost a year ago when Mixtape was getting ready to be mailed out and stuff. And it's a strange feeling to be in the same place doing the same thing like 1 year later, and a lot of things have changed, and at the same time it sort of feels like nothing's changed. I don't know, it's this weird sense of being suspended in time.
Yeah, exactly. So when you grab an old mixtape lying around the house, is it
Mhm.
like finding like an old yearbook? Like what's the feeling like?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Yeah, I actually had to go look for one the other day to send to somebody that's like a new fan because of Crazymaker that bought Mixtape, and I had to go dig them out of the box. And normally I have all that stuff just sort of sitting right nearby because we're always getting ready to jump in the car and go somewhere. And instead, we haven't played any shows in a year basically. So I like
Yeah.
have to remember like where's all the merch stored and stuff, like digging around in the closet trying to find stuff. It's weird. But
That's crazy, Vanessa. And does it feel weird, Vanessa, that you haven't been to America in a long time, right?
yeah.
I mean, every country, of course, has its story with COVID, its own angle, its own challenges.
Hmm.
But how is it to read from afar, you know, everything that's gone on with this country since we last spoke, Vanessa? I mean, George Floyd onwards. There's so much craziness that's happened. Abbott lately, everything. How is it to be at a distance and like not be able to come and all that?
You know, it's been good and bad. Like in a way, it's been sort of nice because we just got to experience everything at a remove. Um, the bad is that we also, there's for every bad or crazy news story that happened in America this last year, one also happened in Italy. And so I sort of feel like I was doubly bombarded by news
Mm,
chaos because, I spend just like everybody, I spend my time on Twitter or on Instagram, doom scrolling and reading all the bad news. And it's like when I wake up in the morning, I read whatever crazy stuff happened in America overnight. Then I switch to like whatever the Italian news for the day is. And I actually had to break that habit for a while because it was getting to be, I couldn't escape it, no matter which
it's
way I
affecting
turned, I
you.
was
Yeah.
just overwhelmed by stuff. So, but it has been strange. I mean, we've been gone now for 14 months, and it's definitely the longest I've ever been away from America. It's also the longest as an adult. It's the longest I've ever been in one place. Like
Yeah.
ever since I started touring and playing music, I've never spent more than I think maybe max 6 months in any one locale.
Right. Right.
So this has been a learning experience for sure.
For sure. No, it's gonna be interesting. Here in Nashville, you see it too. Like all these people, like they're
Yeah.
they're now experts at buying their groceries, and it's like this whole like thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, Vanessa, I do admire you for a couple reasons. I mean, first, people really use social media and all the new communications to create sometimes a fake authenticity, right? Like,
Hmm.
this is me making bread. This is me helping the community, but with a selfie, like that kind of thing, right? But you really are very authentic in there. You really do speak your mind to things that matter to you. I've learned this year throughout, following you, and it's been great. Even if there are short-term consequences, if you need to say something, you're gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm not good at keeping my mouth shut.
no, but that's great because it reminds you of the true revolutionaries. Joan Baez. You then
Yeah.
go down the list. You're a true artist. And in fact, Vanessa, you actually do. I don't know if you know this, but like when you post something like this, and I think I may
Mhm.
even have written to you at some point, you people think it's like you make people research. It creates like
Yeah.
a need there.
I hope so. I mean, I hope it's a good cycle and not, I mean, I try to be careful because, especially on Instagram, people want to see beautiful things. They don't come there to think about hard stuff. And I feel like it is easy to turn Instagram into Twitter or something, like I used to try to keep a different personality for each one. Twitter was more like news for me, and Instagram was more photos of touring and that kind of stuff. And Facebook, I just hate, so I try to never, never use it if I can help it. But since we didn't do any touring and stuff this year, then Instagram also kind of became for me like more of a social political platform. And
Yeah,
I did wonder at first whether that was a good idea, but then I ultimately decided, at the
be
end of the
you.
day, like you said, this is me and this is what I'm thinking about, and why put a filter on it? So
Yeah,
hopefully it
I
it
think
was
so.
positive more than negative. So
I think so, and so many of the stuff that's happened has been so visual too, right? I mean, we
hmm
don't even have to go into examples because there's too many.
yeah.
But it's like, so it's a good platform for it. It's fine. And Vanessa, kind of pivoting to the new album there. You've mentioned that it was like an exercise in patience and tenacity.
Yes.
Because of everything that's obviously happened in the world. Are you? I mean, this is your first album since original album since Foxhole
Mhm.
Prayers. Are you almost more proud of this one, just getting it across the finish line just because of the circumstances?
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, I, for multiple reasons. I mean, this one was a hard one to make because we had set such a very specific game plan, and we had all these dreams and ideas, and like not one of them worked out. So it was hard just to keep our chin up, and not feel discouraged throughout the year. And I think the fact that literally everyone in the entire world was having a crap year made us a little bit less discouraged, just because you only had to look around to see that it's not like the world is raining on my parade. Raining on my parade, it's raining on
And
everyone's
everyone's,
parade.
yeah.
So that helped. But I mean, it was difficult just because every plan we made seemed to change, and it was hard to get momentum. But at the same time, it also gave us lots more time than we initially had planned for to work on the songs, which was
Hmm.
good because we were originally going to go record in March. And when I think now about the songs that did make it on the record, some of them weren't even written until like late August.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the album actually morphed as we went along. It took a different path. At the end of the day, when we were finished recording, I think we had 18 songs
Hmm.
that were that we could have chosen to put on the record, but we didn't want to make a double album because nobody has the patience for that. And we decided basically we would just take off all the sad songs, all the slow songs, which was anathema to me. Like that's completely different from most of my records are, purposely sort of maybe not melancholy, but like pensive and nostalgic and a little bit melancholy. And this one isn't. It's like 11 songs. We chose ones that pretty much, even if they don't rock, they're never sad, they're never heavy. They're fun. And we
They're
thought that
fun.
was maybe a good direction to take just because we had certainly had enough of sadness and strife, and we figured our listeners probably had too. So,
Yeah, yeah, good call. And you can tell that from the first note of Modern Age. It just comes up. It's awesome.
yeah, I think it
That's
probably will surprise a lot of people when they hit play on the first. Like, wow.
it's in the best way. In the best way. It
I
takes you
hope
back
so.
to 1997.
Yeah,
Lollapalooza.
yeah,
These
yeah.
rocker chicks just kicking ass. It's wonderful. Can't wait to see it live, Vanessa.
Good.
And you briefly mentioned the Kickstarter campaign.
Mhm.
Isn't it amazing, Vanessa, how people just kind of read your letter, that you need some help, and like in what was it, like in 3 days, people just kind of
Yeah,
showed up.
it was super fast. We didn't expect it, and also we had made an error. We had planned to launch it. I think like we were going to wait till after Super Tuesday, which was like March 5th or March 3rd. We were going to try to wait till some of the politics in the country died down so that people could focus on it. And then
Right.
little did we know, of course,
They
everything
never
happened
died
after
down.
that.
Yeah.
But we accidentally hit publish. We were trying to do like a draft preview thing, and then it was like, "Congratulations, your Kickstarter's live," and we were like, and so we tried to call Kickstarter support, and once you've published it, you can't undo it.
Wow.
And there's these bots that go along. It's called like the Kickstarter creativity bot. I don't know who runs it or whatever, but it
Hmm.
goes along and it donates $1 to new projects to get them started.
Okay.
Well, that sounds cute and all, except that as soon as you've had even one contribution, then you can't turn off your Kickstarter. And so
Wow.
within like 4 minutes, this Kickstarter bot had given us $1,
I
and
love
we
it.
were like,
Vanessa, you're the best because you're like the Silicon Valley truth teller. That's
"I'm
like
like the what?
the Silicon Valley like truth teller.
Truth teller."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I don't know if you're welcomed in San Francisco. Basically, it's
I
like, oh
doubt
my
it.
God, yeah. Spotify, everyone hide. Here comes Vanessa Peters. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I don't. Do you follow me on Twitter? Because I just got into it yesterday with the Spotify CEO on Twitter, but that's a
That's
different
a
story.
different
So
story.
it's funny that you say that, but but yeah. So anyway, we published this Kickstarter, and we were like, well, I guess our Kickstarter's live, and so that was one time that was really beneficial that we were here because at that time it was only like 9 o'clock in America. It was the afternoon here. So we were able to sort of scramble and like I had to compose an email real quick to everybody on my mailing list and Instagram and Facebook. I had all those things that normally you would have had ready to just hit
Yeah,
publish.
I
I
remember
didn't
it.
have any of
I
it.
remember
So I
that
was like,
because I'm on your mailing list, and I remember when you sent that. Yeah. Wow. Seems a long
it
time
was
ago.
crazy. And I told the truth to everybody. I was like, hey guys, I didn't mean to do this, but I did it. So here we are. And people were really cool about it. And it ended up working out in our favor entirely because obviously the world, in about 10 days after that, the world just started focusing on COVID nonstop. And
Yeah.
it would have been not only, I think, impossible to raise the money, I don't think I would have felt like embarking on a project. I think I would have immediately just said, oh, let's hold off on this, let's wait and see how things go. And instead, since we got it funded, it kind of gave us, it was the shove that we needed just to like keep working on it all year long instead of falling into a pit of despair, which is what
Yeah.
we might have otherwise done.
The
So
time, the timing of the universe was meant to. You were meant to
yeah,
click. You were meant to click it, Vanessa.
it's
Let me
true.
let me ask
Mhm.
you about about working with Rip. I have to ask you because this is really
Yeah.
fascinating, Vanessa. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of rock and roll couples, married couples
Hmm.
are littered with rock history. Paul and Linda McCartney, Sonny and Cher. I can go down the list, but I'm really curious. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If he's there, pretend he's not there. You can, but
He's far away. I don't think he can even
he's
hear
far.
you.
It's just, what is it easy for both of you to like just separate, Vanessa, and like have that line? I find it fascinating that, you know, where does the professional line, just making sure that the line is there and being, cooped up and working and having your own symphony.
That's a good question. We work way better together now than we used to, and he would say the same thing. In fact, we often commented on it. I'm very bossy by nature, and Rip he's pretty like hard-headed too when it comes to opinions on things. And I'm not that good at taking direction for when I have an idea of how I think a song should sound or how it should be arranged. Um, Sometimes it's difficult for me to take other people's feedback, and so for several years when we first started working together, definitely he would say, "Well, have you considered, you know, changing this word to this, or if you could, what if we did it a little bit faster?" And I would always be like, "Nope, this is the song, take it or leave it." And finally, after several years of him gently poking me, I've gotten a lot better at saying, "Oh, okay, we'll try it this way, whatever. We'll do it your way for a minute." And then he's almost always right. That's the frustrating thing, is that he's smarter than I am, and he he has good ideas. So much of this record was due to him poking me. I mean, the song Modern Age is totally, completely different from how I first wrote it. Um, you wouldn't even recognize the two songs, if they were alongside one another. And then he actually wrote the music for Valley of Ashes and Hood Ornament, which was a new thing for me. You have a frog in your throat, don't you?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It's
That's good.
okay.
Good.
That was a new thing for me, just because he was the composer and I was the lyricist, which was difficult. But it was a good experiment, and I'm happy with the results.
But
So
he is an amazing chef too. I have to say that, and I think I told you
that's
that
true.
because when you put him cooking on the onlines, it's like, well, Vanessa, you should
I
put
know.
the Rip Rowan cookbook as the deluxe edition. If you pre-order the vinyl.
we we need to make like a coffee table book of all of his
Oh
recipes.
my god, totally. And it's
Yeah.
like we're here in America eating all this crap, what a burger, and like you're putting this like stories. It was like the most beautiful thing, like hand-picked pasta from the morning in Tuscany,
I know.
in Castillo and Fiorentino. We just got this, and it's like, well, thank you. I'm picking up my breadsticks. Thank you, Vanessa.
I know. I always debate, should I show you guys my food or not? Because
Hell yeah.
it's pretty delicious food. But actually, it's funny that you said Whataburger, because that's like one of the only things that we do miss. We every now and then, I don't actually miss it that much, but Rip sometimes is like, man, I could go for a Whataburger right now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Sometimes you
soon
need
we
a
will, I'm
Whataburger
sure.
in your life. Oh my
Yeah.
god, absolutely. So Vanessa, let's chat about a few of the songs. But that's funny. Yeah, Whataburger, that rip.
Now I'm hungry. Thank you.
It's so funny. Just a quick sidestep, but like we have some friends from Spain, and they're very like fancy and all that stuff. And when they went to Florida, they loved about going to Denny's. It's like that was like their thing, and it was like
Ooh.
they was like they were obsessed with that annual trip to Denny's and like the whole experience. And it's like, all right, well, listen, whatever suits you guys.
Everybody's got their secret closet food love. So
Oh
with
my God,
Denny's.
Vanessa. So, okay, so let's start with Modern Age. I just want to
Mhm,
touch on a few songs, Vanessa.
mhm,
You're so kind with your time. I mean, couldn't help but agree with the sentiment there. I mean, I've been rambling about it for like months now. I mean,
mhm.
do you think, but like on a serious note, I mean, because I have nephews and I think about this stuff, do you think younger generations are going to have like unintended consequences from just from all the tech and the different kinds of communicating and connection and lack of humanity in today's world, Vanessa?
I don't know. I hope not. I mean, I do worry about it for sure. I mean, I worry about my nieces and nephews and stuff too. I think on the one hand, I mean, our grandparents were probably worried about how much TV our parents watched, and my parents, I know, were worried about how much Nintendo I played, and
Right.
I turned out fine. So my hope is that maybe like every generation just kind of learns to adapt. And that song was more just, I mean, it's it's just more about that feeling of being overwhelmed in the modern age. And that was one of the nice things about last year, was even
Mm,
though things were crazy, at least we got to like take a moment and live a slow life for a little while, you
true.
know?
True.
Um, but it was also not just about technology, but just, I think the thing that worries me more is the way that we throw everything away. This is just it's a disposable culture. Especially, that was actually one of the things that stressed me out the most about COVID, is like we wanted to support local restaurants, right? And so, but you could only do takeout. And like it drove me insane, the piles of takeout crap, the plastic and the styrofoam and the
Right.
forks and the knives, and like like
Right.
I'm like a super recycler in normal times. And I would show up to
Yeah.
restaurants for takeout with like, I would clean out the containers and be like, can you please reuse this.
People stop talking
Because
about that. Yeah.
yeah, I hated it, and I do feel like that's one of the things that I am concerned about for future generations, is like
Sure.
we're just making a disaster of the world. And not to harp on Italy, because it's not a perfect place by any means. There's 80 million things I could tell you that are wrong with it, but it is strange when I go back to Texas and I see, like, every time I go back, I feel like a shopping center has been torn down and rebuilt to make like more chain stores and more giant
Yeah. Yeah.
like targets that we don't need. And then I
Yes.
step outside the door here and I'm like, oh, this building is 800 years old.
Right.
And they have figured out a way to keep this building and like repair it and make it beautiful. And I don't understand why we can't like incorporate some of that into our society. I mean, I'm not saying that one has to be like the other, but it drives
Yeah.
me insane how I just don't like the big box, you know?
Mhm.
I like the,
Yeah. I mean, later there's a great book for whenever you have time. It's called "How New York: How a Great City Lost Its Soul." Basically, that's
okay.
the name. And that's what it talks about. How like CBGB is now like a bank.
Hmm.
That kind of stuff. It's really like depressing actually, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Probably don't need to
Uh,
read it then, but
exactly. Just take my word for it. There's a McDonald's where like Patti Smith wrote X song basically.
right.
Um, okay, Crazymaker, great
Hmm.
song, Vanessa. Obviously it explores the sort of person who makes you feel that you're the crazy one, like a gaslighter kind of thing, like a
Hmm.
manipulator, like a trapping situation, and you got
Yep.
it into such a rocking beat there. But you lived it, like you got into this character so well, Vanessa. And I wanted to ask you, how did you do it? Because I know you have a great relationship there. So
Hmm.
is it from your past, or like how did you incorporate this such
Hmm.
vividly?
Yeah, no, that one's actually a part of that lyric, at least I've had kicking around since I don't even know, at least 10 years, maybe longer.
Yeah.
Part of the chorus anyway. And I do that. I mean, I keep all of my old lyrics because you never know when something might come in handy.
Right.
So yeah, Rip is definitely he's not the inspiration for Crazymaker, so you don't have to worry about that. But I mean, initially the song was written as sort of about you know, a lover, a boyfriend, a whatever. But a Crazymaker doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a love relationship, you know? Like most of us have some sort of friend in our life that's a drama queen or a drama king, you know, somebody where they're just like always causing trouble for everybody else, but they always seem to make themselves the victim.
Yeah.
And then honestly, as I lived with the song longer, it started to sort of take on like a Trump personality for me even. It was just like the idea of somebody that makes you feel bad when they're the ones creating all the chaos. I mean, I realized it was a lot more universal than just like a girl and a boy story,
Yeah.
you know?
Interesting. Interesting. By the way, not to get into politics, but I've heard the term carnival baker thrown around so much in the past few months, and it's like, have you guys
Mhm.
heard about that term? And it's like, yes, there's an amazing singer songwriter who's been singing about it for years. But anyway, I digress.
I
Um,
never could get anybody to like, you know, pick it up and run with it, but I guess such is
it
life.
became too obvious. You're a visionary. You were like 3 years ahead of the curve. So
It's true. I was the Cassandra there.
exactly.
So
So tell us on what to invest, what Bitcoin to invest next, or whatever.
right.
Yeah, what ETF. You know.
Right.
Vanessa, why don't we? You've been so kind with your time. Why don't you tell us what song you're gonna play? We'll play it, and then I want to come back and finish asking you some questions about tour.
I'm actually gonna do Crazymaker. So
Oh, wonderful. Oh,
yep.
perfect. There you
Yep.
go. Okay, so let's play it now.
This song is called Crazymaker, and it's the first single off my new record, Modern Age. Been chewing on this bitter pill for so long, but it's a jawbreaker. All that I did wrong was let myself get strung along. It's too easy to make excuses for a faker, but I do you the favor. Forget your bad behavior, we'll just chalk it up to my failure to see you were a crazy maker, a bomb about to crater. I was looking for a savior. Shame on me, shame on me, shame on me, shame on me. And I'm the easy thing you reach for when you need something to hold. Yes, I know what's good for me. I just pay no mind, and time again it gets so old. But I just do you the favor, forget your bad behavior, will chalk it up to my failure to see you were a crazy maker, a bomb about to crater. I was looking for a savior. Shame on me, shame on me, shame on me, shame on me. Knowing I've been taken for a ride, but taking the ride anyway. Well, what will happen when the bomb goes off? Will I find another reason to stay? I do you the favor, forget your bad behavior, will chalk it up to my failure to see you were a crazy maker, a bomb about to crater. I was looking for a savior. Shame on me, shame on me, shame on me, shame on me.
You haven't played a proper tour. I know you've had gigs here and there, and then you've postponed and all this stuff. It looks like we're getting out of the weeds soon.
Hmm.
By the way, did you get your vaccination?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Italy, the EU is incredibly behind. Oops, incredibly behind.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I got mine the other day. When they say your arm hurts, it hurts bad.
does it?
It's like a real
Yeah.
thing. But whatever. First shot. Anyway, but it looks like we're getting out of the weeds with this thing. I mean, tours are
Yes.
happening like August, September. Like, thank God, dude, it's happening. You're a road warrior. That's inside of you, and you must be chomping at the bit to get these puppies out into the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I am, and it's hard because it's a it's weird to not still not be able to plan. Like we're really close to being out of the woods, but I think a lot of venues aren't quite ready to take that leap, especially in the short term. Like if we were planning for shows that were this fall or even next year, we could probably get stuff booked. But like for this summer, especially here in Europe, because they're so behind on vaccinations, there's still a lot of hesitancy to book shows.
Right.
Um, so it's like we're so close. I actually described it like this to somebody earlier today, but it's sort of like that moment in spring where like the trees have been dead, totally dead, and then one day you come outside and every tree has a bud on it, and you
Yeah.
can tell that like in 2 days, the whole street's just going to be totally in bloom. And I feel like we're right there, like where there's the buds. Like any minute now, hopefully everything's going to open up, but we're not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet.
So
So is this a
yeah.
situation for you, Vanessa, with like, your, I guess, dual citizenship and both options in your world, that that maybe it's like a good time maybe to pivot to America for a little bit?
That is actually the plan.
Okay.
Yes, probably by the time this airs, we will theoretically already be in the States. So
Amazing. Amazing.
yeah.
Can't wait for
So
the Whataburger photo with that rip there.
yes, we will take a picture with our
We're
Waterburger.
anxiously waiting for that photo. How it started and like you guys cooking some fresh pasta,
Right?
and how it's going.
How it ended.
Yeah.
Finally. Yeah, we'll
Oh my
see.
God.
And
Vanessa,
hopefully, hopefully we'll have some shows in Texas in May. We'll see like some outdoor. There are a few venues that are doing outdoor shows that should be socially distanced enough, and in the open air that we feel comfortable doing them. But it's
amazing.
still, we'll see.
Vanessa, I think we're gonna see a show. I think we're gonna meet.
I hope so.
I think it's gonna happen. If you're coming here and you're gonna be like Texas-ish, like it's gonna happen.
Okay.
Because these songs, like we want to see them live. So really, really stoked about that.
Yeah, no, I really wish we could bring our bandwidth over, but I don't think international travel restrictions are going to be loosened anytime soon. So
Right.
I'll just be playing with American friends and then playing with my Italians back over here. So
Cool.
yeah,
Well, Vanessa, you've been so wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been great to catch up, Vanessa. It's always a
yeah, it's great to
pleasure.
see you too.
An amazing album. Congratulations. It's going to be a huge hit.
Thank you. I hope so.
All right, Vanessa. We'll take care.
Have,
We'll be in touch.
you too. See you soon.
Bye.
Ciao.